Well, hey everybody, welcome to Church Tech.Life. My name is Michael and this is Phil. We have a really cool episode for you today. We walked through our PTZ system here in the church and our camera system as well. So I hope it helps you guys. Hey Phil, how's it going?
So far, so good. Dude, I'm looking forward to this episode. I know you're doing a ton of stuff over there with your camera stuff, and I've been looking forward to seeing and dissecting your entire thing. We just have to get it put back together before Sunday.
That's right. Thankfully, it's Tuesday now, so we'll just have barely enough time.
Yeah.
All right. Here at Church Tech.Life, we like to start with every episode with a Bible verse. Hit us with it, Phil. What do we got?
All right, we're going to go to Psalms, which is the same as we did last month, but we're going to a different chapter. So Psalm 27, verse 14 says, "Wait for the Lord, be strong, and let your heart take courage. Wait for the Lord." Good words of wisdom.
I don't like how true that is and how often I don't wait and how impatient I am.
That was easy.
No, it's not. It is the opposite of easy. That's what I just said.
Absolutely. So that was a goal of mine. Bucket list done. I have checked it off the list. I used the easy button.
Phil's been bugging me all day. He's like, I got to use this during the podcast. And he did it within the first 30 seconds. He couldn't restrain himself.
I couldn't. So, it'll come back sometime in the future as well.
Okay, good. Just do it. Yeah, do it when we're saying something really important, okay? Yeah. Uh-huh.
We need to get into the video.
All right, let's start. So a little bit of context here. I walked through our camera system here at the church, both our cameras on tripods as well as the cameras with PTZs. So we're going to start in the production control room where every camera is switched. Let's check it out. All right, let's start backstage in our TV production room. 2 people work in this room, a camera director and a PTZ operator. On the right side is where the director sits. He's in charge of telling the camera operators where to point their cameras and is in charge of what actually goes on the live stream. In front of the director is a big TV with a multi-view that shows all of the cameras in the Worship Center. On the top it has a preview screen, which is about to be live, then program, which is what camera is hot, which camera is live, which camera is actually going out to live stream. Everybody in the tech team, except for the sound guy, has a broadcast headset so they can talk to each other, and also the director can give commands and instructions to everybody working. Here you can see the controller that the director uses to switch cameras. On the bottom, on the green buttons, you see what's on preview, what's about to be live, and on top you see what's red. That's what camera is hot, which camera is live. Just to the right of the director is a big rack where the actual switching equipment is, as well as all the computers used to live stream. This is the actual switcher that switches the cameras and that all the cameras actually plug into.
Some interesting stuff there, some good stuff to kind of walk our way through. So let me ask you a little bit about some of the equipment that you have.
Did you like the hand model that was pushing the buttons?
That was phenomenal.
Thank you. I only work out this hand for that job.
Excellent. Tell Nate he did a good job. So,
okay.
So let's see, your switcher, what are you using for the actual control surface itself for going from program to preview?
Yeah, we're using the 1ME control surface to control the Constellation 8K. What's really cool is we're only using 1ME on one side, so we don't need a lot of MEs to control. We're only using just that one feature set. So we don't need anything more than that. Now, if we were growing beyond that, then yeah, we'd have to go something bigger, but that fits our needs.
Cool. So how does that connect to your actual Constellation?
So it's all on the network. So we have it all dedicated on its own camera network. All of the recording devices, all of the control surfaces, the Constellation itself, it's on its own network. It's connected to a dumb Netgear switch that's unmanaged, and then it all just talks to each other from that. The cool thing too is that if we need to change the software from a computer or like a MacBook, we can connect it to that network and then make changes there. So we don't have to unplug anything or make sure anything is just make sure it's connected to the network. It's always there. It's always connected.
Excellent. Okay, so also you can basically have that, as long as it's in the same network, you can control it from anywhere. So if you had your Constellation like all the way down at the other side of the church, you could still control it from that 1ME as long as the control surface, as long as you're on the same network. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, so like for instance, all of the we have a off-site control service in our children's area, and we have a network line run all the way across the building. It's like 500 feet, but because the network lines are in place, we can control it from anywhere. And we have some hotspots, some access points set up in the hallways to access during Wi-Fi as well. So we don't even have to be in the same room as the Constellation. We can connect to it via the network.
That's great. Yeah, that helps out for some heat issues because, those things do put out some heat. So being able to separate that stuff out of the room that you're in, that would be a good advantage for some churches around.
Yeah, for sure. We have it in its own HVAC controlled space. We're kind of spoiled. We have a TV production room that has a whole dedicated area with its own airflow and own circuitry for HVAC. So that way nothing gets too hot. So we put all of the problematic heat sensitive items in that rack that's in this one room, and it just stays cool all the time.
Yeah, that's where that rack is. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, that's a good idea. So now for us, what we've got is since our Constellation's on the network as well, we also have an iPad app that we can control it with. So we're able to walk out on stage because we have some POV cameras that we put out on the keyboard and the drums and stuff. So our tech can walk out on stage, switch that up to the screen, and then be able to hit that as well. So we don't have to go back and forth to the room. So kind of a good way to set up shots. So great stuff. I love that Blackmagic Constellation. It is a great piece of gear.
And it punches well above its weight. It's cheap compared to anything from Ross or from TriCaster. It's so cost effective, and it does a ton. Yeah. And it's all 4K, which I love.
And the latency on it is phenomenal as well. It's been really good because that was one of the things that everybody was concerned about when we moved over to it was the latency issues. But we ran it and we really enjoyed it. So
I haven't seen anything noticeable. I'm sure it's there, but it's not been such a big deal for us.
Yeah. All right, excellent. So the control surface is a 1ME. We actually use a 2ME, so I look forward to showing you my stuff as well once we get to it. But Constellation is you're using a Constellation for the switcher, and then your comms. Tell me about your comms.
Yeah. So right now, it's actually a very vintage ClearComm unit from the 90s. Still kicking, all analog. It's starting to show its age a little bit, and also the flexibility with it is really limited just because it's all analog and none of it's wireless. It's all hardwired. So we're actually moving to some Dante comms pretty soon with some wireless units as well. There's some studio technology Dante units that I really like, and I'm excited to show you guys. We're going to do an unboxing. We're going to do a demo for them as well, and then talk through the flexibility that they provide that an old party line system from ClearComm just can't. Also, too, the price for the new stuff from the Dante studio technology Dante stuff is just incredible. So stay tuned for a video for that. For now, we're just using some old ClearComm units.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to exploring more, and let's keep on going with the video.
Cool. Let's pop it. All right, let's talk about where the cameras actually are in the Worship Center. The first one we're going to talk about is in the very, very back middle of the Worship Center, behind the audience. It's on a 4-foot tall platform that the operator and the camera sit on, and that allows the camera to shoot over the heads of the congregation, so that way when someone raises their hands or someone stands in the way, you don't see that on film. It's got a long lens on it, so you can zoom in really tight on the pastor speaking, or you can zoom all the way out to go wide and get the entire stage. All right, the next camera we're going to talk about is on house right, and that's right in front of our front of house booth. This allows us to get tight shots on singers, on instruments, and get a lot closer to the people on stage.
All right, excellent. So we've got a couple of good cameras going on right there. Tell me those models again. They're Sony's what?
Yeah, they're the new Sony FX6 models with some massive lenses on them. It's just been really cool to move up to 4K, especially with the Constellation being 4K compatible, moving everything up to 4K, so everything, you don't have to downscale anywhere, you can just stay 4K natively. It's just awesome. And the color grading on that FX6 just in the camera is outstanding. I don't have to do any shading or any color grading externally. The image coming out of the FX6 is just phenomenal out of the box, which I love. So those are cool. They come out SDI, and that goes into a Yellowbrick SDI to fiber converter. And those fiber cables run all the way back to the production control room, where there's another Yellowbrick that takes fiber in and an SDI out, 12G SDI out, and a short 3-foot SDI goes back to the Constellation, and you're able to switch from there. What's cool about going through fiber is that you can go much longer run than you can with SDI, especially 12G. Phil and I did some contract work at a national lab base, and we ran into some distance limits with 12G SDI, and running it through fiber instead was just the way to go. I'm very, very happy with it.
Excellent. So, man, it's amazing what you could find at Goodwill.
I found it in the parking lot in a trash can.
Oh, wow. Great cameras.
No, the bummer was that we actually ordered them 4 years ago. And 4 years ago, if you guys remember, back in 2020, nothing was available. And we waited about a year and a half for all of our gear to actually get here. So we placed order during 2020 and waited a year and a half for it to get here. So it was a long time coming. And I'm just so glad to have it in just because it took so long. But
excellent. So do you man both of those cameras every Sunday, or is one of them just in a fixed position?
No, we man every single camera on a Sunday morning. So we have 3 manned cameras on tripods, one on the ground, one in the back of the room, and one in the front of house, like we showed you. And there's a volunteer on each one of those cameras every Sunday. And then we'll get into PTZ, the robotic controls cameras, in a bit, but there's also an operator with those cameras every Sunday. So it's a full crew every Sunday.
Excellent. Well, I mean, that segues right into the next video, so let's take a look to see what you're doing with PTZ cameras.
Let's check it out. All right, this next camera is on the ground at the foot of the stage, right in front of our orchestra pit. This camera is a lot closer to the stage, so we can zoom in tight on instruments, but we can also get people walking in front of the stage that we can't get from the other 2 cameras. All right, now we're going to move into another style of camera called a PTZ camera. These are little remote control cameras that you can control from a controller in TV production. This volunteer has another multi-view in front of them that shows all 5 of the cameras that they're controlling. And right in front of them, they have a controller so they can actually control those cameras. What's nice about this control unit is you can either run them manually or you can pick presets from the screen on the controller. The first PTZ camera we're going to talk about is actually on the stage right by our percussion equipment and our guitars. These cameras are really small and unobtrusive and not distracting, and so you can actually put them closer to the instruments, and they're easy to hide on stage. This camera gets great shots of our percussion equipment as well as our guitars and other instruments as well. Next camera we're going to talk about is on the floor in our orchestra pit in our brass section. It can get great shots of our brass, but also drums, wide shots on stage, and also some close-up shots as well. All right, now we're going to go into wide shot cameras. This one is on stage right, audience left, all the way against the wall toward the back of the room. I'm a firm believer in mixing it up between tight shots and wide shots, and so having cameras that are wide to show the entire stage and even some of the congregation is really, really good for your live stream. This camera gets a really nice profile shot of the singers and choir, but also can do some really slow, very fluid pulls, which was when you're zooming out, and pushes when you're zooming in, to create some drama and some energy during the song. The next PTZ camera we're going to show you is all the way in the back of the room by that first camera we showed you, but this one can zoom out a lot wider than the manned camera. This camera is great for going tight on the stage and then pulling out very, very slowly, or also starting wide and pushing in very slowly to create drama. Last camera we're going to talk about is on stage left, audience right, but it's very, very high up. It's toward the top of our room. This camera is almost always used for wide shots because it can get the entire room and also the entire stage with ease.
Excellent. Okay, so when we first start talking about these cameras, let's go ahead and define what PTZ stands for. So what does PTZ stand for?
So pan, tilt, zoom cameras. So what's really neat is, I should have grabbed one, but they're tiny. They're literally about that big, and so you can hide them anywhere on the stage. You can put them right up next to an instrument, and it's not like the same as having a camera in your face, because that's the worst. The big one in the back of the room is a AW-UE150K 4K UHD. What I love about them is that the quality is almost as good as the FX6 from Sony, the manned cameras that we have. So if you were to put them back and forth, the one in the back of the room by the one on the platform that was right next to it, you saw it pushing in and pulling out. You didn't really see any quality difference between the two, and that's kind of what we're going for. Whereas the other 4 that you saw, they were still 4K, but they're a lesser quality model. They were smaller, they can fit on a stand better, and so they're easier to put on stage. The catch is I was sacrificing quality for the size. What's really nice about these, though, is they have an HDMI out, and then they have a 12G SDI out as well. They've got network control, and then the smaller ones can do NDI. We're not using it for NDI just because of so many issues we had, but we're just running it SDI out. Same thing as the man cameras, SDI out into a Yellowbrick, and that Yellowbrick transmits over fiber, zips all the way to TV production. There's another receiver, Yellowbrick receiver in there, takes fiber in, spits SDI out, and that goes in the Constellation. Never had an issue with them. I love them. The catch is, because you have to get the control signal from your TV production network to the camera, you have to run the fiber line, and you also have to run your network line, your Cat6 line as well. That provides you the control for pan, tilt, zoom, and then iris control as well. What I love about these is the autofocus on all 5 of the cameras is great. I've never had any issues of them looking for focus or trying to find anything, but also our lighting is pretty good in that space. If you had some lesser quality lights, or even it just wasn't bright enough, or the lights are ill positioned, then you may have some issues. But if your light's in good place, the cameras will perform as you expect them to. So,
yeah, I think that's kind of an upcoming video pretty soon. Is, everybody wants better quality cameras, and well, that's going to give you a better picture. But lighting also plays a huge role into your cameras and your picture quality whenever you're sending things out. So don't skimp on your lighting because video is so expensive or whatever. You need to make sure that you also get the appropriate lighting for your venue as well.
I would say if you have awesome lighting but horrible cameras, your picture will look better than if you have awesome cameras and horrible lighting.
Yeah.
So that's just a personal opinion.
Yeah, and I really like those Yellowbricks. I was very glad whenever we came across those. Those were always real good. Now, so a question is, on your man cameras. Sorry, we're going backwards a little bit, but on your man cameras, do you have who controls your iris and your shading, or do you have a shader, or are you able to do that remotely, or?
Yeah, so you can do it remotely. The FX6 has an auto ND filter that is a gradient. It's variable and very smooth. The cool thing about that is you can set up the parameters of saying, I only want it to go this dark, or I only want it to go this bright. And so as I zoom in and as the image gets darker, it automatically brightens up. And as you zoom out, it automatically darkens as well because you're letting more light in. It's that negated the fact the need for an external iris control. They do have the ability to go up on the camera body itself, and we have user preset buttons. Push user preset 1, which adjusts the iris, and then you have a scroll wheel on the camera body, so it's easy to adjust if you need to. But that auto ND on the FX6 is just outstanding, and it saved all that extra time. And also, too, it removes the need for an external controller in TV production for an engineer to tune the cameras.
Man, that's a great feature. I kind of wish I had that.
The FX6s were only about $7,000 a piece with the rig that needed. And if you've ever shot for man's cameras, especially professional level cinema cameras before, that's a great price, especially when you're looking at Reds or you're looking at Canon or anything comparable to that, ARRIs. If you're looking at Blackmagic, the price can come down a little bit, but the functionality of something from Sony was just outstanding. That's why we went that route.
So on those Sonys, the lens that you have, are those cinema lenses?
No, they're photography lenses. They're like wildlife bird watching lenses.
Wow. So do you have to is it easy to zoom in and all that stuff? Or are you having to get around the camera? Or what are you having to do for controls and stuff?
So I guess you could reach up and you could adjust the camera on the lens. The catch is that's awful. that would be horrible workflow. So what we did, Tilta actually makes some wireless control units with the servo on one side, with the gear that can zoom in and zoom out, actually move the lens for you. And then you have a controller on your thumb, just like you would with the cinema lens, where you push the joystick up to zoom in and then push back to zoom out. And so it's actually moving the lens back and forth. Then on the other side, you have another servo, same exact rig, but this one is controlling focus because you have 2 rings on it. You have your zoom and you have your focus. And so you have your focus on your thumb on this side, on this handle, and you have zoom on this side. Is it ideal? It would be better to have a cinema lens that matched the camera. The catch is that this was tens of thousands of dollars cheaper per camera to go with this route instead of buying a cinema lens. Now the one on the floor, it's a different lens. It's and what's cool is it has a really good autofocus mechanism. And so that one actually is all autofocus. That one interfaces directly with the FX6 and it has a little screen, little touch screen, and you touch what you want to focus on. So it's right by the violins. You touch the violin on the screen, boop, and it autofocuses really nicely. Zoom, it's small enough rig, they just reach up and zoom out or zoom in via this way, but their focus is autofocus.
Well, and the one down close to, is that wireless? Are you using wireless rigs down front?
Yeah, that's a good point. We didn't even talk about that. So the one in the back of the room and the one by front of house and all the PTZs, they're all hardwired in via fiber. The one on the floor is wireless. It's all battery powered. It's powered off of a big old block battery on a V-mount with a Teradek transceiver. So it transmits to a big old SDI receiver, spits out SDI 12G SDI into another Yellowbrick, and that shoots back to TV production just like the rest of them. The cool thing about that camera is that allows us to either have it on the camera tripod, or you can have it on your shoulder and have a runaround cam, especially during Christmas time or during special events where you need a camera out on stage or in the audience running around, zooming in on baby Jesus real close, that kind of thing. You have the ability to either have it on a tripod or you can put it on your shoulder like a news crew.
So you just ran down to Walmart and bought a couple of tripods, or what kind of tripods do you have?
So we ordered some fluid heads from Sachtler, and then the Sachtler tripod bases that go with that. Because of the weight of the cameras and also how far away they were from the stage, we really needed a really nice fluid head, which is the part that the camera actually sits on, that moves, left and right and up and down. We really needed a really good fluid head for that just because of how zoomed in they have to be. If you have a lower quality head, you'll have a lot of, shaking around, and we just can't have that.
So this is one of the things where having a community and people you can talk to is extremely helpful. Whenever I got the cameras at the church that I'm at right now, we had those come in and I had no idea what heads I was going to get on my cameras. So I actually called Michael and said, hey, what heads are you using on yours? And he told me. So I ordered the exact same ones. They are phenomenal. Love those heads. So
what's cool is I'll tell you what, we'll leave a link in the description for the heads, for the Yellowbricks, also the FX6 if need be, and then also the Tilta motors as well, so you can build your own rig. So that way you guys aren't in the dark and it's not vague. We'll leave that in the description for you.
Perfect. Yeah, that'll be nice. So, and then PTZ cameras, all of those are wired down, or do you have some of those wireless as well?
Those are all wired down. So we actually have an extra transmitter for the Teradek wireless receiver, and we have the opportunity to slap that on the back of a PTZ and have a wireless PTZ camera. Because of the infrastructure we have in place, we really didn't need it, only because we don't really put a PTZ right in the middle of the room just on a Sunday. It's pretty planned out where we're going to put them, so it's just easier to run a line and more reliable going wired compared to wireless, because then you have to do battery and you have to make sure there's no interference, that kind of thing. So we have the ability to do wireless, but we chose to do hardwired just because of reliability.
So one of the other things that I love, one of the things that you're doing, which is you've got a PTZ camera right there at your main camera, that back of house camera. This is one of the things that I'm about to actually do, and there's a trick to this, and you're kind of doing the same type of thing, and that is that main camera that I'm going to have in the back. I'm actually going to drop a pole down and attach my PTZ so that the lens difference is maybe a foot or 2 feet where the PTZ is above that. So those cameras are going to kind of look like they've got almost the same shot. And then my PTZ, we're going to basically lock that down because we have a static image on our pastor that goes to the iMag in the Worship Center, but that's going to free up that back camera so that we can start using that in a different way. So that's not run yet. I was actually talking to one of the guys at work today, and that's one of the things that's on our list. So if you've got it to do, I highly recommend adding 2 cameras to that center position coming right in there, even if one of them's a PTZ or if both of them are manned, get them side by side on each other, because that is a very important shot, that dead on camera for your pastor.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute too. So the reason I have it in the back, right directly in front of the pastor, if he's standing at his podium and he's looking straight ahead, I want him to be able to say, okay, I can talk to that camera at all times.
Yeah.
And so having a shot to say, oh man, he's talking to the audience, boom, and I know it's framed up, always going to be dead center on him. It gives me the ability to move the other man's camera wherever I want it to be, but always have a shot on the pastor. The other cool thing too is that because of the nature of the controllers, the zoom controller for the man cameras, they can be a little jumpy. And so it's not a fluid all the way in or all the way out. Whereas the PTZs, it's a robot. It's very, very steady, very smooth, pushing in or pulling out. And so having the ability to do a wide shot that pushes in from your PTZ, but then have your manned camera zoomed all the way in on your worship pastor or an instrument or something, it frees him up to find creative shots instead of having to do some boring things like going wide. And also, too, is I can say, okay, man, camera 2, which is that camera in the back, find something on the stage like a soloist or a featured instrument during that song, but I always have the wide shot. One of the things I try to do is I always have a wide shot ready to go as an establishing shot at the very beginning of the song, so I can say, okay, once the song starts, you start wide to kind of show the congregation what's going on in the room, and then you go tight. You go tight on your instruments or on your worship pastor. If you're tight in all the time, then your online audience feels disconnected from the room, because the things in your room are your audience and your stage. It's not just the stage, but it's really easy for us as technical directors is only put your cameras on the stage and only shoot things on the stage and forgetting about the audience or the entire room. So having both wide shots and tight shots really makes a difference on that.
Yeah. And I will also say I like your balance between your PTCs and your man cameras. I've talked with several churches that only run PTZs or they only run man cameras, and I think that there's a little bit of a weakness there in both of those models. If all you're doing is running man cameras, then you can't get some of those closer shots, or you can't do it in a very transparent way. Whereas this allows you to do it, but it also lets one operator operate multiple cameras from that controller. So it helps you as far as that goes as well, not having to get a ton of volunteers. But if all you're using is PTZs and you don't have any man cameras, sometimes you lose some of the fluidity that you can get in movement and motion and that type of stuff, and then going from camera to camera where you can already have something started as you're going and then switch to that camera. A whole lot easier to do that with a man camera than it is a PTZ. So if you're looking at going into cameras, you're looking at some of this stuff, don't just look at one side or the other, but a good hybrid model is a very good way to go for that. You won't be disappointed if you do both.
Yeah, I lean heavily on the manned cameras and then use PTZ as supplementary.
Yeah.
So I'll say that again. I use the manned cameras for most of the heavy lifting. They're doing most of the shots of the choir, of the worship leader, of the speaker, of the pastor, but then PTZs are picking up everything else. They're picking up the room, they're picking up some instruments, they're picking up some other, POV shots, but most of my time is spent on the manned cameras. I feel like with a manned camera, you have the human interaction of someone actually holding the camera and pointing it, and you have just a little bit of movement to just like simulating your eyes moving or your head moving. Whereas if you just have it static, it feels like the robot, right? So you have that human side that you can't replicate really easily with a PTZ. So having both with your manned camera, that's a little bit of movement back and forth, and then have your PTZs that are doing the robotic movements, you get the best of both worlds.
All right, so do you have any examples of, like a typical Sunday morning or anything that you've done that you can kind of show us how you operate and what you're doing?
Yeah. So I filmed myself directing cameras from the director's position this past Sunday, just to show you guys kind of the workflow from how the director interacts with the camera operators and then how they respond to my commands. So what'll happen is you'll have a shot of me directing at the director position, and then you'll see the final product that goes out to live stream. And you'll see me calling out cameras, like for instance, camera 2, which is the one in the back of the room. Camera 2, go pick up the worship pastor. And so he'll do that, and then I'll use the controller to switch between the cameras. And I'll tell another camera operator, like camera 7, which is a PTZ, I'll say, okay, camera 7, go wide and start pulling out. And so you'll kind of see the workflow behind that. All right, let's go. Let's get into it. Thank you, 8. Stand by, Juan. Good. Stand by, 2. David sings first, 3. Thank you. Yeah. Uber tight on him, 3. Like tight as you can. Let it. Over every heart. Good. Go on you. 3. 3 is hot. 2. Get a 2 shot between him and Stacy. Yeah. Good. 7. You're gonna push into him, please. Stand by, 2. Go on you. Yeah, look at that. 3, get them together. And choir, please. That's cool, 7. Go to you. Thank you, 7. 3, go tight on Stacy. I speak Jesus. Your name is power. Your name is elbow. Thank you. I don't think we have any elbow shot. Oh, 8. 8, go pick up elbow, please. So you're hot. 3, change up a little, please. Yeah, thank you, 8. 8, start pulling out from there. Go, quick. Yeah, stand by, 3. Yeah, got it, thank you. Alright. Choir will come in after this verse, lights. 8, go on choir, please. 4, start pushing it on Stacy. Go. Go on the 2.
Get my legs warmed up.
Yeah, you're good. Gotta massage him in place. 6, start pushing into Stacy. Go. Bring your iris down to Smidgy. Go on you, 6. Oh, hey. Look at that. 2, go wide for me, please. 4 is hot. 6 is autofocus. You gotta have autofocus on, buddy. Alright. Stand by, 2. 2 is hot. Alright. 3, go on Stacy Teal. I get a 2 shot with him, please. Make sure that autofocus is on 7, please. And start pulling out. Go. There we go, that looks better. Got it. Stand by, 3. Go to David, 3. Shout Jesus from the mountains and Jesus in the street. 4, start pushing to David, please. Jesus in the darkness over every enemy right here. Jesus 3, go uber tight on David, please. Yeah, good. 2, get choir in the shot. Jesus. Shout Jesus. Sing it out. 2, you're hot. 3, get Stacy Teal in the shot, please. 7, start pushing into them. Go, quick. 7 is hot. Good. Yeah, go in the 3. 3 is hot. 2, go on Stacy, please. 6. Good. Stand by 4 and 4. Alright. Thank you, 3. Go into 7. 7, pull out, go. Good. 7. Good. 5. Good. 4. Pull out. Go. 4. Nice. Stand by 2. 2. 3. Change up, please. Get David in the shot. 6. Good. Stand by 4. Let me know if you're good. 3. 6. Start pulling out, please. Oh no, 7's pulling out. That's fine. 7. Pull out. Go. And iris down as you go. Go 7. Creep left as you go. Gotta do 3 things at once. Yep, there you go. Good, go into 3. Hopefully you're okay. 3 is hot. 2, go on quiet, please. Going back to 7.
Piano string.
Got it, thanks. Go to 3, go tight on David, please, like uber tight. Yeah. If he doesn't sing, it's Stacy. I'll say it again. Whoever sings 3, go to them. Alright, it's him. It's both of them. 2, get a 2 shot, please. Yep. Danke. Good. Alright. 7, you're gonna pull out and creep right. Alright, creep right. That's cool, 7. 3, get Stacy Teal in the shot. That's fine. Good. Alright, 6, start pulling out. 6 is hot. 6 pulling out, right? Good, stand by 4. 4. Thank you, lights. Stand by 2. Alright, 3, get a wide shot, please, with Stacy in it. Go to you, and 3. Alright, stand by 1. Good. Good, and 2. 3, change up a little bit, please. Good, go to you. Good, 2, change up, please. 4, start pushing in, go. Go for it. And 4. Thank you. Alright. 6. Alright. 3, go tight on David. Alright, everybody get Lamar, not 4. Alright, cool. Thank you guys for joining us today for Church Tech Life. I love joining with you every month and reading your comments and getting feedback from you guys. We've gotten a number of people who watch every month, and just being able to help them out is just really cool. So if this helps you guys, be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And also leave comments for us too, because we're here to help you guys. We want to help you guys out in any way we can. And then also too, if you have any ideas for us, and especially me, because we highlighted my camera system this week, let me know, because I want to know about it. All right, Phil, do you have anything to say before we get out of here?
That was easy.
Have a great week.
Okay, thanks, guys.